What's up, YouTube? It's Todd Horst here with Tasty Tracker. I just wanted to give you a small account update again. Today was actually a pretty interesting day. I got assigned on my ETR position that doesn't expire till next month. Typically, the assignment doesn't happen this early with this much time left to expiration, but it's up to the person to determine whether they want to exercise or not. So it can be. Interestingly enough, I have an ETR position for June expiration on both my IRA and on this account, and they both got exercised. So it's not too far away if you look at the current price, which we'll do here in a second, but I want to go through these emails real quick because this one was a little bit different than what normally happens. So first email I get, of course, is the notice that I've been exercised. Somebody exercised, which means I got assigned, and then it tells me what contract was, and I only have one position in ETR, so it wasn't a big deal. So I knew right away which one it was. Then the next email you immediately get for these small accounts, because you don't have enough capital in reserve, is the required maintenance call. So again, this isn't anything I'm not used to. You get this right away because you don't have enough to cover it. So you have two options. You can deposit enough money. They list three options. You can deposit enough money in order to cover that position, but I would have needed $4,500 to do that. I actually have that in my bank account right now, which is rare. I usually don't have that much money just sitting around, but I don't want to dedicate it to this. So plus you guys wouldn't get the benefit of the small challenge. So that wasn't what I was going to do. The other option, as I see it, is to just close out the position. And they list maybe a third position would be to shuffle your other positions around. So you can close out another position that would net you $4,500 if you had that in your account. Of course, we know that I don't have that much in this account. So what was different about this one is that I got this third email, which I had never actually gotten before. And it was because, I'm guessing because I had such a low amount of capital. I had, was it $4 or $5? Let me go in here. Yeah, $367 was how much I had, and I had even said before that that's dangerously low. It doesn't give you any room to work, and in order to get this to close, I would have to go negative. So you know how typically your max loss, say on a $5 wide, is $500 minus the cost that you collected originally. So typically around $300 or so. But you can lose more than $500 if you're going to get assigned. So Tastyworks at least charges a $5 fee for assignment. So you can either choose to exercise your option that you had bought, which would cost $5 in commissions, or you can adjust what price you're willing to close that existing position at by up to $5, and it would be six of one, half dozen of the other. And I'll show you that in a second. But because I had such little funds, I didn't even have $5 in the account to handle the exercise fee that I would do if I exercised the one that I bought. So again, really, really stupid. Normally, that's breaking all of my rules. The reason I'm really pushing this account is because I have other accounts and I'm trying to build this up as quickly as possible. Obviously, if this was such a large account, you would never, ever, ever want to be 100% allocated like I basically am. Okay, you need, and I can't stress enough, you need 50 to 20% of your capital sitting in reserve so that you can handle rolling a position or getting exercised or taking advantage of opportunity. So there's a multitude of reasons why you need that reserve. And I don't have that in this account. So in order to handle the exercise fees, I actually had to deposit $10. So I got this Reg T email, and you can read, pause here obviously and read it if you're interested. But it wasn't a big deal. The process for me to handle it was the exact same as it normally was, with the exception that I deposited $10. So we'll go over here to the broker. I had the 125, 130 puts for June, and I have it pulled up. It was basically at 90% chance, 97% chance being in the money, which means it's all but lost. Now, the only difference here, though, is right now this is hovering between 92 today and 100, right? So it, to me, was not completely impossible for it to get up to 130. Now, it's extremely unlikely, especially given the number of days left. We have 43 days, but it's not entirely impossible. I was hoping to hold it for another 2 weeks or so, get up to maybe 110, and then be able to close these out for a little bit more premium. Even though it was a loser, I would still lose less if I held on to it long and the market continued to rally. I don't get that opportunity now. That's fine. Right now it's saying 465, and again, that's the mid price and not what you're going to most likely get filled at. And we can see what I did here. I selected the shares and the position that I had bought, and I sold them all originally for the strike price, which is 125. So I listed them originally, had a limit order for 125. That's a credit. So taking less credit means I'm going over my $500 wide spread. I hope that makes sense. I ended up having to knock it down a couple pennies and filled for $4. So if I would have just exercised this 125 put that I had bought, I had the right to exercise, I would have paid $5 in commissions to Tastyworks. Because I chose to not do that and instead close it out manually, then I was able to knock it down $4 and save $1. Not a big deal, but a dollar is a dollar. What's interesting about this, too, that I haven't really dealt with before, I guess, or maybe I just am forgetting, but in my IRA account, I had 2 contracts, not just one. And so what I found out is that Tastyworks only charges the exercising fee per strike, not per number of contracts. So even though I had 2, they only charged me $5 to exercise it. So it was actually cheaper there to exercise that 125 put than it was to do what I did here, because in using this method I would have lost a total of $8. 96 minus 100 is 4, so times 2 would have been 8, and exercising it I only lost $5. So just something to keep in mind when you start getting into the higher number of contracts and you do get exercised, even with commissions on Tastyworks, it still is better to actually exercise it than to manually get out of this. Now, also note, you can't leg out of this. You have to do it together, otherwise you could end up losing more. There was one other thing that will probably come back to me in a second. But yeah, so that was 124.96. Then I came over here to Tasty Tracker, and I'll go into the history. I put the closing price as 504, to account for the extra $4, and then the total loss in that position is $359. So I'm not sure why I'm blanking on what I was going to say there. There's one less point I wanted to make there. I'll leave it in the description below. So right now the portfolio here, if I deselect SPY here, this is my positions for the remainder of the month. And for next month, if I take off AMD, that's what we're looking at going forward. We have a bit of a downside buffer here because the AMGN position, and if I take that off, of course, that's what Costco and LRCX. So all in all, looking pretty good for the expirations coming up. AMD is really holding on to the value. Internet. Okay, so it's been hovering between 18 and 30 for the past week. It's pretty amazing. That's just one reason I'm probably done playing AMD and anything that's under or around $50. I really don't like symbols that are that low in price. It just makes it really hard to be profitable. I think it's a lot better to go out and have a 5 wide spread instead of doing a 1 wide spread and doing multiple contracts. So I really like the 5 wide. I think that's enough of a difference that you can make some money off of it. And so if I'm going in between a 5 wide and a 10 wide, so a $1,000 position, I'll still choose the 5 wide and just do 2 contracts to collect a little bit more premium. But to me, there isn't a comparison between the 1 wide and the 5 wide. So all you people that are starting out and trying to do these $1 wide and having a tough go at it, honestly, I think a lot of the issues because the position isn't big enough. So you might want to take some more time to save up some more money. Or you can risk gambling it by buying calls and puts. But again, that's not something that I think is long-term sustainable. So anyway, that's my spiel for today, and I hope you guys have a good one. Talk to you next time.